here, Yonge and Dundas, BK Black Krishna from ManpowerWars.com. Just sorting out how men can locally win the offline info war. Promote polite patriotism, nice ladies and gents, teach kids, look, talk, and feel great about fun or serious stuff offline instead of being trapped online, digital ghettos, censored, like minds, and then offline turning into rude, sketchy zombies, making each other uncomfortable, wandering around shaking near strangers. Bad enough in good times, even worse during a coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic, right? And that's what we've gotten. Even though the streets are fairly quiet, if all these people act rude and sketchy with each other and can't do much, and then wander around running close to strangers, trying to force strangers to put up with it, that'll make the pandemic spread a lot worse than if they were polite Canadians who politely acknowledged each other, didn't make people they know uncomfortable, then bother strangers, but instead made sure people they know were comfortable, and then didn't run around shaking near strangers, right? So it's bad enough, you know, during regular times. And so, I just went through what we did with Toronto Truth Seekers back in the day during the swine flu pandemic, and a lot of people appreciated that. We gave out thousands of grateful vaccine exemption forms to grateful parents as well, which people really liked. And so today, here we go. It is Wednesday, March 18th, 5:14 p.m. So men can take a leadership role on this. Otherwise, you know, they're big and strong and creepy and scary, and so they force everyone to act rude and sketchy and put up with and act like them, and then people bother each other, and then they make each other too uncomfortable to be nice and look at and talk to each other, listen to each other, respect each other, and then they wander around running close to strangers, trying to force strangers to put up with them, and then running away, and that could lead to the spread of the virus even more if people do that. If they insist on running close to people, rubbing up against strangers, bumping into strangers, just to barely force strangers to put up with them, spazzing out, worked up, look at their body, look at their butt, whatever, just anybody that's nice or happy or busy or whatever, you put up with me, get away with it, run away. You know, instead of doing that, if they could respect each other and respect people they know, and then not bother strangers, there's a chance that the spread could be a lot less, because then people respect each other and they communicate well about fun or serious stuff, what's going on, what are the best solutions, what do we accept, you know, whatever, and so on. And then they wouldn't run around when they're near strangers. They'd politely acknowledge each other and keep their distance safely, as opposed to barely know that people don't like being near them and get worked up and try to go too close anyway and force people to put up with them. Right? So that's the issue. You know, otherwise the mass zombiosis takes place where everyone's the same kind of coronavirus zombie, just running around shaking near strangers and carrying the virus. Right? So that becomes a real problem. And that's why men locally, wherever you are in the world, need to win the offline info war, which is fine. Men are fine with it. Women, kids are fine with it. Civilians are fine with it. Patriots are fine with it. Politicians, media, security, police, military, intelligence, they're all fine with it. They're fine with men taking an active role, making sure people are informed and empowered, making sure people aren't messing with each other and falling apart, and then wandering around trying to force strangers to put up with what a mess they are, because it's awful to be near them, and they have to barely force you to put up with them, worked up, spazzing out, forcing you to see them look ugly and running away, you know. So bad enough, even in good times, even on the most beautiful, perfect summer day in Toronto. It sucks for rude, sketchy people making each other uncomfortable. It's people you know, or if you just happen to be out and about and some strangers doing that near you, making you paranoid, quiet, uncomfortable. But during a pandemic, it's even worse. If this poor person makes everyone they know uncomfortable, or vice versa, then they run around running close to strangers, trying to force people to put up with them, or rubbing up against or bumping into them and running away. It makes it even worse, right? Because that could really spread the pandemic. If you're sensible, and people just generally won't get too close to each other, right? But when they're acting rude and sketchy and bothering people and making you put up with them, you have to get too close to people to barely make people see it. If you can just force people to look at that rude, sketchy spazzing for just 3 seconds, a full 3 seconds, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, then you've really achieved something, because it's ugly, stressful, and confusing. That's why they run so fast, and they try and force you to put up with them and run away. That's why they move so fast, even when you're sitting near them, to force you to see them wiping and scratching and spazzing out. And then they run near strangers. And at the best of times, it kind of sucks. But during a pandemic, it sucks even more to have poor, sketchy, mentally ill, or whatever people making each other uncomfortable, and then running around shaking near strangers for no reason. Going too close to them, forcing you to see them look ugly, making you both uncomfortable, maybe bumping into or rubbing up against you because they know it's going to be hard to force you to see them get worked up and look ugly, whatever, right? and they don't make any sense. If it's your wife or girlfriend, worked up, shaking, not explaining why, you should figure that out. What's wrong? Calm down. We're in public. Don't make everyone uncomfortable. But if not, they don't make any sense. They just make you both uncomfortable. You can't just look at it. You have to bother them back. And you can't do much with each other because you bother each other for no reason. Then you run around trying to force strangers to put up with you acting sketchy, and that's where we run into some problems. When it comes to world famous, nice, polite Canadians respecting each other and teaching kids to, and communicating well offline, plus stopping the spread of the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic in Toronto, Canada, and around the world, right? That's why men need to locally win the offline info war by making sure that polite patriots can teach, kids to be nice ladies and gents who communicate well, look, talk, and feel great about fun, serious stuff, able to mind their business, have a little peace of mind, not be bothered, and not just wander around shaking near people trying to force you to put up with them. So, otherwise, men do the opposite. They make everyone do that. I'm a man, I could do that. I could walk somewhere and be like, oh, everyone be uncomfortable. And everyone's like, okay, everyone uncomfortable. I go somewhere, everyone be uncomfortable. Everyone be like, okay, comfortable, whatever. At least there's one of them here, so it's not a big deal. But again, if there's more around, wherever you live locally, they can win the offline info war, right? Make sure they're cool, other people are cool, where they are, where they live are cool, girls put us in a good mood, make babies, everything else, a bonus pain in the ass for everyone, or just none of your business. And so that's it, right? So instead of men doing the opposite, making everyone act like rude, sketchy zombies who make each other uncomfortable and then run around shaking near strangers, spreading the coronavirus to hundreds of strangers a day they run too close to or bump into or spaz out near and run away. Instead of doing that, they can make sure that people respect each other and communicate well and teach kids to, and keep their distance sensibly for a certain period of time till things calm down, right? If people instead act rude and sketchy at home, hey, put up with me, bad mood, nothing you can say or do, you're just impotent, well, I'm a mess, put up with me, wiping, scratching, spazzing out, put up with me, got you, shut up, don't say anything, and you're just impotent, my balls, okay, fuck you, put up with me, bother them back, and then it can't just be impotent while you're a mess near me, nothing I can say or do, I'm a grown-ass man, or woman, or whatever, I can't just have to be, well, you're a mess, rude, sketchy mess near me, you can't say, like, what's wrong, nothing, forget it, if the people just bother each other and make each other uncomfortable, then when they run out after their isolation or social distancing, they'll be in such a great mood to run around shaking near strangers, trying to force strangers to put up with it. Because whether it's people they know at home or people they know at work, acting rude and sketchy, bothering each other, once they leave home or once they leave the office cubicle, they can't wait to run around and try and force strangers to put up with it. Because they're abusing each other like pretend sketchy wives or girlfriends, busting each other's balls. And once someone bothers you and tortures you like that and abuses you like that, then you feel like you've got to pass on that abuse. And so people walking around abusing strangers, anybody near me, whoever you are, you got to put up with this. Doesn't matter. Whoever you are, you got to put up with this. Whoever you are, rude, sketchy mess, you have to put up with this. Doesn't matter. Whoever you are, put up with this. And so that's what people do, right? And it sucks in reasonable times. Good times it sucks. But in bad times, during a coronavirus pandemic where we should be, respecting each other and communicating well, talking about possibilities. Well, is it real? Oh, probably real. Is it being overblown for money, for control? Are people kind of taking advantage of this possibly? Oh, it's possibly true too. Should we deal with it? No, it's rude, sketchy, bother you, make bite uncomfortable. No one say anything. Make us uncomfortable. No, go bother a stranger, run, shake near strangers, spread virus, ooga booga. Right? You get the coronavirus zombies instead, right? So that's the problem. Right? You can see if anybody tries to act like a human, look, talk, or feel good, mind your business. I've got lots of video the last couple of days just minding my business, sitting there reading my phone. You can see all the people running, shaking near you, running away. And, after they make people near them uncomfortable, they run around and try to force strangers to put up with them. And so this is the problem. And this is how bad the zombiosis gets, right? Even before, I didn't have to wear a toque and sunglasses, no contacts, and hold up newspaper, manpowers.com sign, look away. Like before, when it wasn't that bad, it was just a handful of guys kind of messed up doing it, and people would just ignore them. Everyone just ignored them. Everyone. It wasn't just me. Everyone ignored them, right? Hey, how's it going? Put up with me. Just look away. Ugh. Right? And they'd stop. What? Whoa, no, so I'm embarrassed about this anyway. They'd stop, right? But as it gets worse and worse and worse, they not lose your self-respect, take anybody else's, and be a mess. You got to avoid it. So toques, sunglasses, contacts, newspaper, manpowers.com side, just people interested, or flip it inside out if inside, not advertising. And people understand if you avoid this and you're not bothering people, they know it's safe to mind their business or it's safe to be nice to each other, avoid the poor sketchy person shaking near people. So men can help people stop if they locally win the offline info war, instead of people turning into zombies, making people they know uncomfortable, and wandering around shaking near strangers and running away, then they'll be good. So I just want to get that, had a little shot of what happened there at Toronto Truth Seekers back in the day, and where we shared that info. Well, it's BK Black Krishna for manforwars.com. Let's do a little time check here. And this is the future. If we're all stuck in the house and nobody knows what to do, you're not allowed out anymore, that's what happened. This is what happened today, blah, blah, blah. Everyone's a zombie, don't say anything. And so Wednesday, March 18th, 5:23 p.m. here at Yonge and Dundas. And then that's that, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, people are interested, people who support the Manpower Wars efforts, like, comment, subscribe, share, get in touch, questions, answers, work together, financial support as you'd like, and we'll get this popping. Otherwise, it appears that's what happened, right? Even if you can do anything, say anything, whatever, you have to act rude and sketchy with people who act rude and sketchy, and you've got to run around shaking near strangers, which sucks even in good times, but during a pandemic, it sucks even worse, right? So, you know, what are you supposed to do? Bother them back? Bother somebody else? No, it's not. I think it's okay. Then everybody feels better. It's always been the same since I was a kid. It's the same now, where if you just politely ignore it, everyone feels better. You feel better, self-respect, mind your business, don't be a mess for the next person. They like being ignored, probably want to stop when they're shaking near strangers and running away, making everyone uncomfortable, right? Other people around get to relax and feel better, mind their business, or know it's safe to be nice to you. People are super nice to me. I'm like, I'm in a bad mood. People are super nice to me when we do not bother people, don't pay attention to people bothering people, don't bother them back or anybody else, don't be an ass. You know, try to help people stop. Everyone around, oh, that's better than more. That's good. Less is where we are, so on, you know. And so men can help people stop. You know, just regular old straight guys. They can help locally win the offline info war. Make sure they get the code in the streets there. Make sure people respect each other, communicate well, teach kids to share information. You can have meetings, local meetings, get together with other patriots. And you've got meet and greet tables, set up a table there, posters and flyers. In these days and times, you may want to wear masks, have hand sanitizer, and you know, keep like an arm's length distance. Here, take this little piece of paper, put on squeeze some hand sanitizer in your hands, take this little piece of paper, and look at it, put it in your pocket, and hopefully that killed whatever was on it. And then you can check out that website. People used to be really worried back in 2009 during the swine flu pandemic. We gave out thousands of vaccine exemption forms just right there at that corner of Dundas Square to grateful parents coming from all across the greater Toronto area. From north, south, east, west. They're right up. Are you guys in the vaccine for? Can we have two, please? We had thousands and thousands, 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. We gave out thousands that we printed out ourselves to grateful parents. So they go to school and say, I know you're scaring us with this swine flu crap, but I don't want my kids to take some experimental vaccine you just made a few minutes ago. And then 6 months you say, oops, it didn't work, but we made our money and here's a little bit back. You know, we're a little scared of it. That could be worse. What if they get the flu and they recover? What if they just take vitamin C and eat well and greens, right? So people used to be really worried about it, you know. People worried about, even people that were pro-vaccines were like, well, I don't believe in all of them all the time, you know. And so, you know, you can locally win the offline info with meetings, fellow patriots. You get together for lunch once a week, every Saturday for an hour or two. There, maybe you feel like acting after you build bonds, meet and greet tables, posters, flyers, DVDs. And we did that there during the swine flu pandemic. And vaccines are a tricky thing. Vaccines and pandemics and health is a tricky thing. It kind of reaches everybody. So even if people don't want to have a conversation with you, they may want to take some information and go. You might be like, yeah, I heard some stuff, but I don't want to talk about it. You know, but yeah, can I get one of those or whatever, you know? Or if you've got a friend who's having a baby or something, and you're like, hey, I don't want to get into a whole thing with you and make you think I'm a weirdo, but here, take this little piece of paper. It's got a little couple of websites on it and some info. Think for yourself, make the best decision. Good luck. You know, maybe tell me if I'm wrong, you know. And if it's smart, if it's stupid, you can laugh at it. If it's smart, you can enjoy it, right? It's not like you have to start crying, freaking out, acting sketchy, making people uncomfortable, and then running around shaking near strangers. Unless regular men, straight men, make sure you do, in which case we're all screwed. Coronavirus zombies wander around shaking near strangers. Pandemic goes on and on and on. Instead of polite Canadians, respect each other, teach kids to, and communicate well. Instead, you'll have that happening where you get the whole shake near people, run away, right? So that's the problem. So this is a sample, right? It's a lot less people out in the streets, which is great. But if these people are acting rude and sketchy with each other in isolation or social distancing, and then they come back outside after making each other uncomfortable, and they run around shaking near strangers, trying to force strangers to put up with them spazzing out, that's not going to be good. Generally, for a nice place to live with nice people, but also specifically for dealing with a pandemic, right? for dealing with the pandemic. You shouldn't be running too close to people, rubbing up against, bumping into strangers all day and night to force them to put up with you, spazzing out, getting worked up, trick them into looking at you for like 2 seconds, right? That's not, doesn't make sense, not worth it, And so men can help people stop, otherwise it don't make any sense, right? Because if regular straight guys help people stop and they get respect and they communicate well, they won't feel like forcing people to look at them, and then nobody else will do anything that stupid, right? Other men won't, girls, kids won't, gay, lesbian, why make people uncomfortable, make us quiet and uncomfortable. It's only straight guys with nothing to look at and no one to look that can't relax and get attention with anybody. So they sexually harass each other. They have to force each other to look at each other. They don't want to look at each other. And they have to jealously harass girls. You're looking at that cute girl, look at me, spaz out like that girl you're looking at. And then they make everyone quiet, and then everyone has to put up with and act like them because it's kind of uncomfortable. They're big and strong. But they're lying bitches begging to be broken who like being ignored and want to stop. I got lots of video as well. They don't really want to make everyone uncomfortable, have no one respect them, want to listen to them. And they wander around bothering strangers and feeling sorry for themselves. It's not typically a man, that they want to be or see, right? And so it really is, a question of men helping people stop, or you'll have everyone acting rude and sketchy and making everyone quiet and uncomfortable, and then people running around trying to force strangers to put up with them, running too close to them, bumping into, rubbing up against them, and then spreading the virus more and more and more for months and months and months, right? As opposed to politely acknowledging each other and keeping your distance, being nice to people. It's like, oh, we have to be near each other. We're not going to bother each other. There's not many people around. It's like, nope. No matter how many people are around, I run too close to people and force them to see me get worked up and spaz out like a pretend grumpy, bitchy, sketchy wife or girlfriend just because doesn't make any sense. No one says anything. A big, strong guy. I make everyone put up with and act like me, and then that's all we do is we act like zombies bothering strangers, right? So that's why it's important for men to locally win the offline info war and take control over their neighborhood and feel informed and empowered and make sure other people are, right? Otherwise, you've got this sort of mass zombiosis thing, right? If this was 1,000 years ago, there wouldn't be a question. It's like, oh, Canada's under attack. By who? Oh, people want to take advantage of a crisis to screw us. It's like, what? Oh, no, we got to stop. It's like, well, what are you going to do? Blah, blah, blah. So this is the danger, is the zombiosis, is that anybody you can do anything will be turned into a zombie, because that's what zombies are looking for. And they're running around shaking near strangers. Bad enough in good times, but during a pandemic, it's even worse to run around shaking near strangers, rubbing up against, bumping into them, forcing them to put up with you, running away. Like, you shouldn't be running too close to hundreds of people a day to barely force them to see you spaz out and get worked up and bother them, right? So that's why men need to locally win the offline info war. Like I said, with Toronto Truth Seekers, TTS back at that corner right there, we dealt with the swine flu pandemic very well. Guy even got on CBC News, covered us. A lot of people, we were great. We were polite patriots, respecting each other, respecting people who want to communicate with us, talking to people who want to talk to us, sharing info people could take for themselves and could think for themselves, giving out thousands of vaccine exemption forms and so on. So that'll be important in terms of winning the offline info war, locally winning the offline info war wherever you live. That's what'll be really important for men out there, because otherwise you've got the mass zombiosis where people attack anybody who's not already bothering people, try and force you to put up with them, make you bother them back, and then once people can't respect each other, run around shaking near strangers. And bad enough, sucks. You want to live in a nice place with nice people instead of going to hell. But during a pandemic, it's even more important to stop the number of people that are running around shaking near strangers and running away all day, right? If you just have in a big city a couple of mentally ill people that can't explain why they get worked up and bother people and run away, it's not that bad. But if it's the normal thing to do for men to make sure everyone puts up with and acts like them, like the exact same rude, sketchy girl, nothing appropriate, right? If a girl acts like that, rude, sketchy, bitchy mess, you're like, no way, she can switch, okay, appropriate. Sweet old lady, cute young girl. Guys have nothing to switch to. It's always, put up with me, you're not gonna like it, not gonna like me. There's no, okay, fine, I'll be a cute girl, right? Because regular straight guys can't do that, right? So that's why they make everyone the same zombie, right? So everyone, put up with me, you're not gonna like it. No one ever likes it. No one's ever liked it. No one ever will like it. I have to make everyone put up with me. That's just the way things are. Get worked up, force them to put up with me, trick them into looking at me. Oh, they bother me back. Oh, they force me to look at them, make me uncomfortable. Okay, now we can't do much with each other. Okay, we run around shaking near strangers. All right, that's life. That's how things go. That's all guys can do, right? So that's the problem with just regular straight guys. And this, I'm not making this up. I'm not rocking to a gay bar saying stop dancing. This is what guys do to each other and then they jealously harass girls and anybody who's nice to each other. And then you can't be nice near people acting sketchy like that. You've got to sneak around and sneak away from them. You've got to know who's there. It's like, hey, how's it going? We can look at each other. Oh shit, Joe's here. Sketchy Joe, Sketchy Joe. Oh shit. And now everyone's got to look down, look away, because every time you look at each other, they get worked up and try to force you to see them look ugly. You got to sneak away. Or if I'm buying something somewhere, there's cashier there, I got to hold this up and look away, and we can be nice to each other while someone's shaking, spazzing out, trying to force. So that's the problem. That's why men have to locally win the offline info war. Make sure people respect each other, communicate well, and make sure people can stop the pandemic spread, which is also carried in part by people acting rude and sketchy with people they know, people near them, making each other uncomfortable, then wandering around shaking near strangers, bumping into strangers, trying to force strangers to put up with it, like only a handful of formerly mentally ill homeless people used to. So, you know, it's bad enough, you know, so that's why it's really important. So, you know, it wouldn't used to be this bad. You know, it wouldn't used to be that if there was a pandemic, people would run around shaking near strangers and running away. You know, people had more sense than that, you know, in general, period, let alone during a pandemic. But if the zombiosis gets this bad, where people is, what do you mean stop acting rude and sketchy with each other, make each other uncomfortable,